Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Hof Bergmann Explained. Today we're going to take a look at sheep and goats. Now, so far in this series, we have taken a look at cows, which have included normal cows, calving cows, calves, young bulls, and mating bulls. We've also taken a look at chickens and ducks, which have also included the use of an incubator to hatch eggs into chicks. We've also taken a look at horses, which has included the capability of horse breeding through reproduction. And now we're going to take a look at sheep and ducks. But before that, this video is brought to you by Gizmo UK. Thank you for being a farm baron. So there are two sheep areas on the map. We have a sheep pasture and a sheep barn. Both are going to take sheep and goats. So let's go ahead and just get some sheep. And we'll get a few goats. And you can see our sheep and goats right on in there. Now, I'm going to show you kind of a back way into the sheep pasture, which is up on a hill by the Skinner and the malt factory. So if we come out around the back of the animal dealer, we can take this dirt road around this field. And then we'll take it up this hillside. So we're going around field 9. And here we have the distillery. Sorry, it's the distillery, the Skinner, and then the sheep pasture. So we'll back right on up here and unload. This particular sheep pasture will take 250 animals. And let's just go ahead and take a look at what is available here in this pasture. So our food trough is going to be right here in this wooden area. And the trigger on this is incredibly small. I mean, we're basically going to need to put food on top of this food trough for it to receive. And then our water trough is right here in this water tray, or this plastic lined, tin lined box, wooden box. Now we do have the animal pen extension mod enabled, and that's what puts these water pipes here. So if you don't see the water pipes, it's because you don't have the animal pen extension mod in your mod folder. Now our wool is going to spawn in bale form under this shed. So we don't get wool pallets on this map. We get 500-liter wool bales that are going to appear under here. And then this tank is reserved for goat milk. So this is where you're going to take goat milk out of the area. So I'm going to go ahead and run that truck back to the main farm, and then we're going to talk about the sheep barn from the main farm specifically from the kitchen. As we have seen in our other animal videos, we can buy our animals here from the laptop in the library. So let's go ahead and take a look at the sheep barn, the sheep stable listed here. And it is also going to take 250 sheep. So we get 20 of each sheep and goats. Now let's take a look and see what these sheep and goats are going to require. So our sheep pasture is going to require water, and then food, they have two options. Now, silage, spent grain, or silphile, chopped, is going to give us 100% effectiveness. Grass, hay, clover, or hay pellets are going to give us 85% effectiveness. We don't need to feed both. We feed silage, grass, spent grain, or silphile chopped. We get 100% effectiveness. That's all we need to feed them. But if we don't have any of those, then we can just feed them grass, hay, clover, or hay pellets and get mostly effectiveness. Now, our sheep pasture is going to produce goat milk if we have goats, and it's going to produce wool if we have sheep. Now, I think goats might also produce wool. I just haven't tested it. And our sheep and goats will reproduce at the normal in-game rates. Now, if we take a look at our sheep stable, things are a little bit different, but not much. We have water, straw or straw pellets, and then the food requirements are the same. Let's go and take a look at the sheep pasture. It is just down the road from here. So it won't take too long to just quickly jog over there. And while we're on our way over there, let's talk about some of the food requirements. So this map has different forms of silage. It has grass silage, it has maize silage, and it has silphile silage, which is a new crop to this particular map, and to Farm Sim, as I understand it. So I think to make grass silage, we need to wrap the bales. Okay. To make maize silage, we can put it in a silage bunker. And we can do the same with silphile. We can take that and put it in a silage bunker. Now, I'll take and show you a field of silphile. In a live stream we did some silphile chopping. And I've actually got some chopped silphile up in a bunker that I've not compacted or covered at this point. So we could feed them that. But for this video, we're going to talk about spent grain and what that is and where to get it. So here is the drop off for our goats and sheep at the sheep pasture or sheep barn, depending on what you're looking at. We have our water trough right here. We have our animal pen extension mod enabled, so we do have our water pipes. We have our goat milk tank right there, and that's where we're going to get our goat milk. We do have to come up here with one of our universal tank trailers. In order to get this, we back right on up to it. We make sure the lid is open, and we can get our goat milk out. And we're going to be able to take our goat milk and make goat cheese with that, which we will be doing in this video. Now, I think we can also, we can also sell goat milk at the bakery, the dairy, the farm shop, the inn, as well as the village shop, and then all of the family homes that are going to be acquiring our farm goods. So we can sell our goat milk, or we can make the goat cheese. And goat cheese is going to be available for sale pretty much everywhere that the goat milk is going to be available for sale, other than the bakery and the dairy. So inside of here, we have our food trough. We have our straw trigger right there. And then our wool bales are going to spawn right here. Now, this pen has a nice added feature in that we have wool storage rack right over here. So wool bale management, hit R. We can store 56 bales of wool. This is what they look like in this storage rack. And then we can come by later and collect those and basically sell our wool off in bulk. To the best of my knowledge, there isn't a storage rack over at the sheep pasture. I looked for it, couldn't find one. So I think we're going to have to pull our own wool out of there. But it looks like that entire shed is going to accept our wool. So I don't think we're going to have to really worry too much about having to empty that with any frequency. So let me go ahead and get hooked up to a trailer, and we will go and explore where to get spent grain. So there is a reason why I misspoke earlier when I said the malt factory as opposed to the distillery with respect to where the sheep pasture was. And that is because we get our spent grain from the malt factory. And the malt factory is up here just past the genetics place, just past the slaughterhouse. We've been to both of those already in our series. And at the end of the line, we have the malt factory. Now, the malt factory is a sell point for various crops and grains and other products, but it is also where we can acquire spent grain. So we're going to pull underneath this chute. And we're going to get our spent grain. So you'll see spent grain is FREE for me and you and everyone else. The malt factory has so much of it, they just will give it away. So why should we bother with making grass silage? Why should we bother making silphile chopped when we can just get free food right here from the malt factory? Now, you did see that this does have a capacity. We had 33,750 liters of spent grain. Okay, this is in essence a silo. It is not a silo we can put grain into. We can't produce spent grain. It's just a byproduct of the malt factory. And just like we've already talked with respect to animal fat and used vegetable oil, spent grain just appears at the malt factory every few days, just as the malt factory does its thing. So, in theory, if you had a whole heap load of sheep or goats, I guess you could feed more than the malt factory could produce. But until you get to that point, this is free food. You might as well make use of it. I'm going to go ahead and run over to the sheep pasture, and we'll put some food in there. Then we'll run back to the sheep shed, the sheep barn, and we'll put food in there. And then we'll go talk about silphile if you want to go that route. I'll take the gate down so we can get on in here. Side. Let's do tip side left. And I'm hoping this trailer is tall enough. There we go. Like I said, the trigger on this is super small. So now our sheep pasture is fully fed. They've got their water. So they should start producing goat milk and wool anytime now. I'll meet you back over at the sheep pasture. Let's go ahead and just pull on in here. And again, the food trigger is right here in the barn. And we have a lot of excess spent grain. So what are we going to do with it? Well, we're going to put it in our silo, of course. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll take a look at what else we can store in the silo. I have to say, this map continues to amaze me every single day. Every single day, it seems like I learn something completely new about this map. In preparing for these videos, I go through and basically learn about what's required for whatever we're going to be demonstrating in this particular video. And inevitably, I end up finding something new. So I was trying to figure out what spent grain was. Where did it come from? Is it something I can make? And lo and behold, I learned that we can dry grain on this map. I then found out that we can make basically propane tanks on this map. All in trying to figure out where the heck we get our spent grain from. Let's go ahead and dump our grain on in here. The trigger wasn't coming up. I had tip side left. Then I went to tip side right. It still wasn't coming up. I was like, I know grain goes in here. Why is it not coming up? So we can store our spent grain in the main silo complex here. This also means that we can, every few days, go and grab more spent grain, if we want, from the malt factory in order to save it up and store it. So we've got spent grain, wheat, barley, oats, canola, sunflowers, soybeans, corn, rye, whole grain. That'll come into play later. Dried grain. See, we can make dried grain. And back to spent grain. So dried grain will be a whole video all on its own. So let's jump over here and I'll show you what silfile looks like. Got a field of it right over here. So this is a field of silfile. Basically looks like really tall daisy flowers, if you will. And interesting enough, interesting enough, this crop regrows on its own. So you can see we have crop damage. So anywhere where we had crop damage as a result of our harvesting, we have no crop growth. But everywhere that we didn't have crop damage, silfile regrows on its own. So it's one of those plant once, grow many types of crops. So you just come in here with a forage harvester, chop away, collect it in a trailer, and that is silfile chopped. If we come up here to our cow stable, around back we have a silage bunker, and have already placed some loads of silphile in here. And that's what silphile chopped looks like when it is placed into a silage bunker before it is compacted and covered. And you'll see this bunker says fill level chaff maize. So this is for silphile and maize silage. We cannot make grass silage in this bunker. And we do have 2 more bunkers here on the main farm, just down the hill here. I honestly don't know if they're set up for maize or grass silage, so we're about to find that out. So maize silage there. Grass silage here in the right. So the right bunker is going to make grass silage. So we could put grass in here, produce grass silage for our sheep if we wanted. The left bunker is going to do maize silage as well as the one up on the hill. And then we have a fermenting silo right here, fix firm. And the fermenting silo is going to let us make grass silage as well. So I think there's going to be a whole nother video on silage and all the different various forms of silage coming up at some point. Now we actually also happen to have some grass silage bales that are included with the map. If you start in a new farmer mode, we have 54 silage bales, so we could also feed those to our sheep. So now we have to talk about straw. Let's go ahead and get some straw, and we'll put straw down for our sheep. And we have some various areas around the map, around the farm, where we have straw bales. So I'm going to move this trailer out of the way. We're going to have a straw bale here, and we're going to take that over and see if the sheep area is going to accept bales. And the verdict is no. So we will use my personal favorite way to dispense straw when bales are not accepted, and that is the Kuhn Knight TMR mixer. Just put your straw in there, and there you go. So there is a bug or something with the straw harvest mod where if you put straw in and you have straw harvest mod enabled, it shows up as pellets, but okay, we'll just deal with it. So now at this point, we're just going to fast forward time, let some wool appear, and let some milk appear. So I'll see you guys in a day or two. So it's been a few days, and we really don't have a lot of goats up here. We don't have a lot of sheep up here, but we do have a little bit of milk. I'm going to go ahead and just collect, just for the purposes of demonstrating the process. We're going to back our little trailer up, like so. We're going to hit R to fill. There we go. We got a little shot of goat milk. And while we're up here, we might as well collect the wool bales that have spawned in. So again, they spawn in as little bales, not as pallets like normal wool does. 500 liters wool bale. And we can just pick these up. We don't need super strength or anything enabled. I'm just going to go ahead and just put them here on the back of the truck. I think this one is partially full. Yeah, we'll leave that one. And I'll meet you back at the horse or the other sheep shed. Now over here, we do have a few more bales because we do have some more sheep and goats. So what I wanted to demonstrate here was the ability to just move these into our storage rack. And then, like I said, we can store 50 plus wool bales in here. 56 to be exact. And then we just walk up to this. We hit R. We can pop out a bale should we so wish. And that's where they're going to spawn in at. So we can get a fair amount of wool here because we're talking about wool pallets. Our wool bales, not wool pallets. And then we can store a whole lot more over here. And then when we have a good demand or we just have a really good price or just need to get rid of them, we can obviously just load them up on a flatbed by hand again. We don't need forks. We don't need super strength or anything like that. And then we can take it over to sell. Let's go ahead and load this up. Again, with our goat milk, we open the lid, we hit R. So we had a little bit more goat milk there. And let's go ahead and get the goat cheese process started. And then while that is running, we'll look and see where we sell our wool. And do that process. Now I've got our truck and trailer backed up here to this input pipe, and that is going to correspond to this storage tank. So this one is empty. This one has 2,700 liters of regular milk, cow milk. This one is what we're going to use to put our goat milk into. So with us backed up to that, we just hit I to overload into that particular facility, or storage vessel. See, we are now putting goat milk. We do have a goat milk icon on the display to represent that this is goat milk versus regular milk. And we see that icon right there. And again, we can take a bucket if we wish, put under the spout, fill it up with goat milk, take it to this machine because this is the machine that does goat milk. The other machine does cow milk. We could, if we had empty ones. So they are all full. If we had empty milk tanks or milk jugs, we could use that too. 120 liters versus 100 liters. And we also need to get our culture, our lab. So let's pop that out. Just like we did when we were making our own cheese. And we'll put that in. There we go. Just chuck that back up on the shelf. So I'll go ahead and get this filled up with goat milk, and we'll get that process started. Put our final load of goat milk on in there. We'll come up to this thing, and we will hit I to turn it on. And there we go. We now have our goat milk running, our goat milk cheese mixer. And we'll come back a little bit later. We're going to get 7 loaves of goat cheese out of this batch. So let's talk about wool and where we can sell our wool. So we can sell our wool down at Land Trade or the weaving mill. Okay. So Land Trade is right here. And the weaving mill is over here in this town. So 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So thankfully we have 2 bales of wool, 2 places to sell the wool. So let's head on over to Land Trade and see where we might sell the wool over there. Land Trade is over there by the wool facility. It's over by the bakery. So we have to turn here just past this wooden barn. I have to say, sheep and goats are, for the most part, about the most normal animal here on Hof Bergmann. I mean, the one horse pen is pretty normal. The other one has horse breeding, as we've already seen. Cows are completely different. Chickens and ducks are somewhat similar, but we do have the ability to incubate the eggs, and then we have the ability to make mayonnaise with the eggs and such. But sheep overall, I mean, other than the food requirement differences, are pretty much like base game. Take our strap off. We'll grab 1 bale of wool, and as is conveniently marked by the pallets of wool, this is where we're going to sell it. Right there. $675 for a bale of wool. Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. All right, I'm going to meet you down at the weaving mill. So here we are in town, just past the shop at the weaving mill, the weavers. Again, very conveniently marked by the bales on pallets. Now, we only got $486 down here at the weavers today. They weren't so forthcoming with their money like Land Trade was. So it's nice to see when we have multiple buy points for commodities like wool. Get a little economic competition going on. A couple different choices where to sell stuff. So let's head on back up and check out our goat cheese production. Fast forward and see if it's going to take about 12 hours to produce a full load of goat cheese, which is about what it took to make the regular cheese wheels. Let's go ahead and bump up the clock, and there we have our cheese. We are going at 2,000 speed here, so... And there we go, 9:51 p.m. Our goat cheese is nearly done. Looks like we ran out. So we got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 6 loaves and 1 nearly done. Let's go ahead and turn on our light. Oh, we did have our light on. Man, this is some... You guys need to invest in some better light. So just like our normal cheese, we can take this and put it over here at the rack. Oops. Put it over here at the rack and store our cheese until we wish to have enough to sell. Like so. We come over here to the corner and we can pop our cheese out. Like so. And we can then obviously put our cheese onto... We can take our cheese. We can just put it on this pallet if we want, so we can just move one thing at a time. And then in the morning, we'll look at selling our cheese. Another fine day. Let's go ahead and we've got 150 units of goat cheese here. Oh my God. Let's go ahead and see about putting that here in the farm shop. There we got $300. Wow. $300 for a round of goat cheese. Pretty good deal there. And as we've shown, we can take our goat cheese to other shops like the village shop. So there we have the farm shop. We have the inn. We have the village shop. And then we have some residents that are willing to pay. But Family Schroeder is willing to pay a lot of money for goat cheese. They want goat cheese bad. So house 6. House 6, right down from the cooperage. That's right, we can make barrels. We'll learn about that here in a few videos, I believe. Because the next video is going to cover pigs. And I'm not sure right now how I'm going to do that. I might separate the breeding pigs up from the pigs here at the main farm. I might do them all in one video. I'm not sure yet. I still have to kind of learn or relearn how pigs work on this map. And then once I have that idea, I think I'll have a better idea of how I want to present the pigs. But the pigs are coming up next, people. And then that will close out the animals. I wanted to do, for the most part, the animals first, because I knew that they were the most different, obviously, than what we're experienced with. And then we'll pick up on these other production elements. And we'll figure out how to disable that speed camera soon. So the cooperage is right here. This fine house here is the cooperage. So Family Schroeder is right here. Right next to Mr. Cooperage. So there we have Family Schroeder. And they're going to want their product here at the side of the house. Just deposit it in the bin. So they're willing to pay so much. I'm just going to sell them all my goat cheese. Chuck the pallet over the fence. Make it easier to carry, right? And again, we don't need super strength to move the pallet or the cheese rounds. I'm going to just kind of manipulate. There we go. $400 a cheese round. And these guys, Family Schroeder, loves their goat cheese. And make use of the pallet. Make use of all the other cool stuff that's available. There's so much stuff on this map that I haven't even had a chance to show off yet. There's so many other ways of transporting things. It could be its own video on its own. I won't probably do one, but it could be its own video alone in all the different ways to transport all the different things. So guys, that is going to do us. That is, in a nutshell, goats, sheep, wool, and goat cheese here on Hof Bergmann version 1.0.0.8. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please go ahead and click that like button. Share these videos. Share this whole playlist. Let everyone out there that plays Farm Sim 19 know about the wonderful nature that is Hof Bergmann and the incredible things that we can do on this map. And until next time, happy farming.